Hey Shakers, we're here with David Cohen, the founder and CEO of Techstars. David, thanks for joining the Handshaking video series.
Anytime, of course.
So to start off, could you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. I was born a baby in Florida. No, I'll give you the high-speed version. I'm a computer science guy, learned to program in college. After that, I had one job interview, got that job. It's the only job interview I've ever had in my life in that direction. Basically, as a programmer, old school, paradox, if anybody knows that out there. I actually read a book about it in a bookstore the night before to get the job, so I know the lingo. And was dispatching vehicles to pick people up, Medicaid, Medicare transports. Thought that sucked, so we left there. We started a company to do that better. Windows was just coming out in 1995. That company did well, 7 years, I think, sold to a public company called Zoll. After that, stayed there a little while longer, started angel investing a little bit while I did 2 more startups. One that failed, and I learned a lot from, which was much like people know Foursquare or something like that. We were there before that with a pretty good product, but way too early before the App Store and before distribution was there. Did another startup after that called Earfeeder. Which was short-lived but worked pretty well. And actually figured out I liked the angel investing piece more than anything, and so Techstars was my way to do that more professionally. So I've been doing that now since 2006.
Great, and for those of us who don't know what Techstars is, maybe you could also tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Techstars is a global ecosystem that helps entrepreneurs bring new technologies to the market. So we are in Europe, we're all around the US, and we're growing globally. It contains different components. We have accelerator programs, which most people know us for from early on. We run accelerators in 13 different geographies around the world. These are 3-month mentorship-oriented programs where we invest money, more than $100,000 in each startup that we fund. We do them in batches of 10. And so 18 times a year in 13 different places we do this, about 180 new companies a year that we put 100K into. And then we try to help them get funded at the next level. They've gone on to raise about $2 billion so far after Techstars. We've had about 65 or 70 of them exit through M&A, and most of them are still active. So a huge portfolio of really interesting companies. We also have venture capital around that we manage, about $300 million today, where we subjectively sort of invest in companies coming out of that ecosystem, and also companies that maybe the mentors are starting. Yeah. And recently we acquired Startup Weekend, yes, as well as Startup Next and Startup Digest. So we have really products that touch entrepreneurs from inspiration through to IPO is the idea. Try to help them at every level. The major thing that we're trying to create is this global ecosystem where if you're in Boulder or in Seattle or any great startup community, you get a lot of help locally. People get almost none globally. We have a real opportunity to change that to help entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So any other notable things we should know on how things might change after you guys acquired Up Global?
I think you should expect everything that they were doing to just keep going and get bigger. I don't think we have any plans to touch Startup Weekend. I mean, a lot of people know Startup Weekend was born in my office, here in Boulder. Andrew Hyde, walked in and said, hey, I want to do this thing. I love what I'm seeing here at Techstars. I want to do it in a weekend for everybody. And we said go. And we've really been very close since then and very helpful to each other. Very natural in that they have been looking for ways to continue to help companies that were born that way. And we've been looking for ways to attract more companies, even more to what we're doing. It's a really easy synergy, and the goal is don't mess with it. It's not broken. Keep it open. Keep it community oriented. We did waive all the fees around Startup Next, which is this get ready for seed funding,
free
accelerator program. Didn't feel like we needed to charge for that, and so we'll make it more accessible for people and help it expand more globally, but otherwise expect it to be just the same as what it has been, which is I think one of the most important startup events in the world.
Yeah. Now, so the only change that happened was the fee for Startup Next. You said you removed?
We just eliminated that. Yeah. I think it was $300 or something.
Okay. Yeah.
And everything else will work as it had before. And Mark Nagar is still here. He's now our chief of community. He's running all that stuff and all the same people. And again, it's leave it alone. Obviously, it'll help us get a little more exposure for what we do, brand wise. But more importantly, it'll help educate and inspire entrepreneurs around the world.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. Wow, what an exciting story. So let's go ahead and move on to the first topic, which is how, as an aspiring entrepreneur, we found that many of our past guests think entrepreneurs need to join communities, oftentimes an entrepreneurial community, oftentimes one in their startups industry. Could you speak a little to that?
Well, I think your network as an entrepreneur is incredibly valuable. It's what gets you early customers. It's what gets you to investors. It's what gets you to business partners. I think most entrepreneurs massively undervalue their network. I know you value it a lot, so it's cool to be on the show talking about it. And I think people need to find ways to build their networks, and I think that accelerators are just one example of how to do that. People who go to a college like an MIT or a Stanford get this built-in network. I think that's now become true of a Y Combinator or a Techstars. And what we're trying to do is build the broadest, most global one for people to really tap into. So hugely important, pretty easy to do in a lot of places, surprisingly easy, and people don't put enough energy into it.
I completely agree. That's so good to hear coming from a guest like yourself, David. Now, for those aspiring entrepreneurs who perhaps are still working full-time or going to school full-time, and they don't have the time, or at least aren't laying aside the time to join a full-blown accelerator like Techstars, where do you recommend they go? Some past guests have said Meetup, which is obviously a great example. Do you have any others that you'd recommend?
Well, so every startup community is a little different, and a lot of them now have this blueprint to them. So I was inspired by something I saw in LA, the LA Startup Community Handbook. I created something called the Boulder Hitchhiker's Guide to the Boulder Startup Community. A lot of people helped me with it, but just here's what's out there. And so that's step one: is go find the people who know what's out there. Networking is a quality game, not a quantity game. So if you go out and you find someone who's hyper connected, it doesn't have to be someone famous, right? That's hard to get a meeting with. We're lucky here, where we live, that it's. You live nearby, right?
Yeah,
pretty easy
right in Denver.
to get a meeting, right? You found that, I'm sure. I don't think you got too much hassle getting a meeting to talk to me, right?
No.
And so going to someone that is connected in that way, who can lay out the the sort of blueprint of the community, and say, look, here's the new tech meetup, and here's the Ignite, and these meetups are the best ones to go to for the purpose that you're trying to build your network in. That matters a lot. So just having a coach that knows the landscape like anything else. And I would just, the other reaction I have is if you're in college and you don't have the time, wait till you're in the real world, right? You have plenty of time.
Yeah,
right?
get started right away.
Just one less party, and go hang out and meet some people that can map you into the community, and it will help your career tremendously, right? When you get out of that school and you're ready for work, and you'll know more people than just the people in the first company you happen to get a job at.
Absolutely. I think those are great points, David. So Shakers, listen to David when he says that an accelerator is a great example to get involved seriously with an entrepreneurial community. Networking in your personal network is about quality, not quantity. And it takes time to invest in that, just like it does anything valuable in life, really. But and if you don't have the time, stick with Meetup, stick with Startup Weekends, Denver Startup Week if you're with us here in Colorado, and or Boulder Startup Weekend that we just had. But yeah, take the time to invest in that direction. I think that's great. Did I miss anything, David?
Yeah, you got it.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which would be feedback from experts, which kind of plays quite a bit into the community. Yeah. When aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they're in an accelerator or not, need to get feedback from qualified experts, which we found could be customers, the CEO that everyone's heard of. Could you speak a little bit as to how you recommend aspiring entrepreneurs get those meetings?
Yeah, well, so I think I'd put it into two categories, right? I mean, the best feedback should be coming from your customers if you're an entrepreneur, right? You can have all these. We put this mentors on a pedestal, right? Or the well-known CEO that's hard to get a meeting with, as if they're they have the gospel that's going to come down from the mountaintop and change your world, and that may happen. But listening to your customers is number one. In lean startup world, get out of the building, right? Go sit with them. Most importantly, build something, put it in front of them, see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's no data like that data, right? in terms of feedback and network building, the other category I think is, what you're tagging as experts. And I just say, not everybody's an expert in everything. One of the big challenges that we always have around Techstars is we have so many mentors. And we have to keep reminding them that if you don't know something, it's okay to say, I don't know, as a mentor. And it's, here's the only experience I've had with that, but I know this other person that is really good at something. So I think we're trying to help people understand this term mentor is not hierarchical. It's a network term.
Yeah.
You could probably mentor the heck out of me in video production and a lot of other things, right? Or at least hosting a show. I have no clue how to do that. I learn a lot from you on that front, and I probably can teach you a lot about investing in startups, for example, right? This is not hierarchical, it's a network, right? And it's a value exchange, and I think if everybody starts thinking about themselves in that way, the community is stronger.
Yeah.
Right? If we all think about ourselves that way globally, the global entrepreneurial ecosystem is much stronger. So, I mean, of course it's valuable to go and talk to someone about fundraising that's done 600 or 700 financings. Of course it's valuable to go talk about your SaaS product with somebody who built a hugely successful SaaS product. A lot of times those are the hardest meetings to get, and it's the hack I would give people is just build genuine relationships. It's not, hey, I want something, how do I get it? It's, what can I do for you? I would love it if you would do this easy thing for me, but if there's something I can do for you, I'd love to do that. A lot of the busiest people use this algorithm, which is, I get so much inbound email asking me for something. My goal is let's keep it to email. And we start to build a relationship by email. I don't drink coffee, for example. Right? So people ask me to coffee, I just go, I don't drink coffee. But I'm happy to exchange email. If those feel good and they ask for a 15-minute meeting, I'll probably give them a 15-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Right? I do a lot of those. If that feels good, right, then I'll probably do a half-hour meeting or a phone call.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's an escalating relationship that you have to think about long-term and not just, okay, I have one shot. What am I going to get from this person? Right?
Yeah, that's great. That's what we've been finding is if you can get one meeting, chances are you can get another. As long as you keep it respectful and concise.
That's true, right? But I would even back it up from there. And I wrote a post a long time ago called Small Asks, and then all these people who are grammar freaks reached out to me to tell me that was not good grammar, not proper grammar. Small asks, and I was like, well, I don't care. That's me talking to people. And the idea of small asks is before the meeting, right? Hey, I'm building a company that does X. And here's the product, and I'm wondering if you could look at the home page and tell me if this is something that you think people would like. That'll take me about 15 seconds. Look at the home page. Actually, yeah, I think people would like it, but it's a little unclear how you do X. That's a small ask. It takes almost none of my time. It's conscious of my time. I then see that you took that feedback and did something with it. You wrote me and say, hey, I made that change. Really appreciate that feedback. That's actually helping. My metrics are up in this way.
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of it to that. That feels good.
Yeah.
I helped you in 15 seconds, right? Find ways to give me back that closed loop feeling that I'm being helpful somehow. And then I think from there the relationship builds and eventually you get a meeting.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I exchange a lot of emails with people before I ever get a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one. I mean, lots of very valuable conclusions there, Shakers. I think, look at it as just small asks, like David said, and implement them. And then go for maybe 30 seconds of David's time on email. And, show your world-class mentors and experts that you're listening to them and quickly executing on what they recommend if that's the choice you choose to move forward with. At the end of the day, it's your startup, but at the end of the day, you need great advice from qualified people. So,
can I jump in there?
Yes, please do.
Shakers, make it easy to help you build a real relationship and go from there.
Boom.
Yeah,
easy to make a real relationship. This is easy.
On how to do this whole thing.
This is
genius. This format you use. I love it.
Thanks. So that's a good one. Real relationships, which is ironically the very next topic that I'm supposed to ask about, but I think we've already touched on it a little bit. But let's go in and see how it goes. The last one that we recommend aspiring entrepreneurs to do that we've learned from our past guests is build personal relationships with world-class mentors. And what that means to us is don't just, you want to get to the point where you're texting for happy hour tonight, perhaps, instead of emailing for a meeting next month. So how do you do that? How do you bring world-class mentors, busy people, close into your personal life?
Quality over quantity, and I think people process quality in strange ways sometimes from my perspective. They're trying to build a startup, so they go, oh, Fred Wilson, high quality. Of course, Fred's super high quality. He's the same person that 50,000 other people are thinking about right now. And the question is, what do you need help with? Mm-hmm. Fred has never started a business before. He's one of those rare venture capitalists who's never been an entrepreneur, to my understanding. He's an incredible venture capitalist, right? But if it's about the very early stage, or how do I form a company, like he probably knows that stuff. But there's probably other people that know it even better, and they're probably closer to you physically. So I think looking in your local community, for entrepreneurs that you admire, that have some synergy with what you're doing, they're going to be a lot easier to get to. Oh, guess what? They're probably going to be connected as a super connector to lots of other people like that. Right, and I think that's an easier way to start. And what everybody does is they go after the one person that they've heard of, and a million people are doing that right now. Instead, I think start locally. It'll help you build your network more globally. Mm-hmm.
Start locally. That's a good one.
How do I go have a beer with somebody who's in another country?
That's a good question.
If they're in the same city, it's much easier, right?
It is.
And then I get a real relationship with them, where I'm helping them and they're helping me. They're going to be much more likely to make that other intro in the future. So it's a network game.
Now that leads me to ask you another question, David. So we found that spending time with people in real life, FaceTime, not FaceTime, but actual FaceTime with people. Unless you have a really good connection on FaceTime, which perhaps isn't always the case yet. Anyway, spending that time is the best way to build personal relationships with people. But you really spoke up the email and even phone calls in the meantime. Could you kind of contextualize email, phone, in person,
sure.
and speak a little to them?
Absolutely. The most valuable thing is a real personal relationship, right? What I was trying to say is you can build to that. Mm-hmm. It is, you're shooting for the hole, it's golf, right? But it's okay to hit that first shot and get in position for that shot, right? Instead of just wildly missing to the right, which happens a lot when people say, hey, David, can we have lunch?
Yeah.
Well, who the hell are you? Mm-hmm. I'd like to be helpful, but I'm an introvert, and I don't really like to have lunch with somebody. You don't even know that about me yet, right? Instead, I'd much rather have, hey, David, I'm building a startup. Oh, I identify with that. I read your blog post about whatever, right? The perfect email, which is a blog post I wrote about this. Yeah. I really learned a lot from that, and it's helped me a lot. And I wonder if you'd do me the favor of just taking a quick look at something I'm doing and give me feedback on one feature. Mm-hmm. Would you sign up and tell me how that sign-up experience felt? Sure, that's 20 seconds. Okay, yeah, if it felt good, I would change this. I'd make the button blue. Okay. Yeah. I'm much more likely to then have a 15-minute meeting with that person because we've established a little bit of rapport in a way that's respectful of my time. I think that's how busy people think about it in a lot of cases. So it's not stop at email. It's use email, use the medium that is easy, a smaller ask to get to that personal relationship.
Yes, I loved the golf analogy. That we haven't heard anything like that before, and that's groundbreaking handshaking.
Cool, I haven't played golf in 10 years, so it's really cool that I can come up with a golf analogy.
So listen to David, Shakers. Let's conclude topic number 3. It's yes, you want to go for the hole-in-one, and you want that in-person meeting with the person you know has the best information you're seeking. But it's okay to take a first shot. Start with email. Start with phone. Be conscious and respectful of their time and who they are and what their everyday life might look like, especially since you might not know that, and go from there.
Can I tell you a quick story about it?
Yes.
The first time I ever met Brad Fell was when I was pitching him the idea of Techstars. It took me 4 months to get a 15-minute meeting. I got a 15-minute meeting on his calendar. I walked in with a sheet of paper. I said, hey, it's great to meet you. I'm a big fan. I read your blog. I'm doing this thing called Techstars. This is what it is. There's like 5 bullet points. I'm putting $100,000 into it. I have a co-founder that's going to put some money into it. We think we need about $250,000 to test this. I'm not really here to pitch you to invest, but I'd like to have you involved in whatever way you think you'd like to be involved.
Love it.
Oh, by the way, we've invested in a couple companies together. I invested in SolidWare with you. Brett said, yeah, this is really cool. I like the structure and the model. I think it'd be very powerful. I don't know you. Let's work together a little bit, but assuming you're not a flake or a crook, I'll invest. Mm-hmm. I think he said $25,000. And I said, that's awesome. That sounds perfect. I'll start building the website. Maybe you could refer a few people that are mentors. I know you're really well connected. And we'll start going towards the summer where we'll do this application. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day. Anything else I can tell you? No, we're good. Okay. 10-minute meeting. Gave him back 5.
Wow.
Right?
Nice.
And for somebody like Brad, that's 5 minutes. He can go check his email and help somebody else. And I didn't need. Right? And so I think that showed to him that I was just super direct, super easy, right? Serious about what I was doing, wanting him involved, however. And I love meetings like that.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to have an hour meeting. You don't have to have a lunch to get the momentum in the relationship.
Love it. That's a great story.
Today is one of my best friends in the world. We vacation together. We invest together all the time, right? So that's a long-term arc, right? Where Brad gave first, and hopefully has gotten a lot back out of being associated with Techstars and finding good investments around it. So
yeah, wow, that's a great story to end this interview on. But first, before we end this interview, David, we need one action item that our Shakers can do immediately after watching this video.
One action item.
One action item, hopefully related to personal relationships and shaking hands. What's the best thing they could do?
Go seek out one hyper-connected person in your local community and start to try to build a real relationship, starting with small asks. I think that'll impact everybody's network. It'll make everybody's network a little stronger, and they'll learn that it's really powerful. Wow,
that's ironic how similar that is to the previous conclusion we had with the Dean of Daniels College of Business. He said, just get out there and start connecting with people. And very similar to David's action item, pick one hyper-connected person, start taking those steps. Try to make, maybe, if you can make a hole-in-one, good for you, but don't be afraid to start with email, phone call, build that relationship. Get out there, Shakers. But for those of you who aren't going to pull up your email right now, we have something called Shaker Trivia that we have for our guests. And David, we want to know a little bit more about you personally. Yeah. So we have 3 questions for you.
Do it.
First one, what's the wallpaper on your phone?
The wallpaper on my phone is my son in New York City leaning out off the High Line with traffic going by and just looking like this.
Oh.
He was about 2 years old.
Cute. How old is he now?
He's 6.
Cool.
4-year-old wallpaper, that's what you're thinking.
4-year-old wallpaper.
It's true.
Okay, next question. Who was the last famous person you talked to that we would know?
Famous. There's this one guy that's in a band that I can never remember his name that reached out to me because he wanted to invest in startups. A lot of people know him, but I don't remember his name.
Come on, give it to us. Give it to us.
I'm not really into famous people, so I don't stalk them or even remember them that well. I can tell you one a long time ago.
Yeah.
That's helpful. Yeah. You know who Jimmy Connors is?
Yeah.
Tennis player.
Yeah.
Rode an elevator with him once.
Ooh.
I'm a big tennis fan.
Very nice. Now, if there's one person in the world that you haven't shaken hands with, but you could shake hands with tomorrow, who would it be?
Probably Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I know his brother Kimball, who lives here, but never had the pleasure. And, I think it'd be more of a fist bump, which is more my style. But I'd just say, great job thinking big, and, love to just follow him around for an hour. That'd be my fun thing to do.
Yeah. Well, at least we have their restaurant close by, right?
Yeah, the kitchen. That's Kimball. And Kimball's awesome. And, I think, just the types of things and the inspiration that Elon is to so many people and how big he thinks, it would be fun to meet him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, thank you so much for your time. David, if we want to find you online, where can we find you?
If you can't find me, you're not trying very hard.
True.
I'm on Twitter at David Cohen. I'm David at Techstars.com. Email if you want to email me there. And, all the usual places, just look for David Cohen and Boulder, and you'll probably find me.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Right on.
And a fist bump. Yeah. Thanks, Shakers.